So here's a battle with my good friend Vada. Um, he sends out his lead Persian, and I send out Gulia. Gulia is a Dream World Sableye. So he withdraws Kitty, and I go for the Will-O-Wisp, and I get off Will-O-Wisp on Zora. So I decide to withdraw Gulia because I know Zora can hurt her and send in Hagaside. Now, he does night days, and at this time I'm like, shoot, his Zora is a physical attacker, special attacker, sorry. So, Burn isn't really going to do much but take down his life a little. So, he does Night Haze again, and at this point, I misclicked, and instead of doing Hammer Arm, I did Bulk Up, which kind of was sucky for me because I'm raising my attack and defense, and Zork is a special attacker. So he goes for Night Days one more time and takes out Hagaside, which really and truly, Hagaside didn't do anything much to help the battle. So he faints, and Zork gets another burn. So as his life goes down, I send in my superior, and he withdraws Zora. So he sends in Scyther, and I'm like, okay. I was going for the Leech Seed anyway, so I was like, good, I'll get some life back from Scyther. And I go for the Glare to paralyze that thing because I know it can be a pain in the butt once it gets going. He goes for Thief with Dark Gem, hoping that Thief would steal my item. I don't know. I'm not really too concerned with the dynamics of Thief, and then he gets a crit, so I was like, oh, that sucks. So I get the lefties off the Scyther, and at this point I decide to take back my superior and send in my Drizzle Politoed Gruber. And Gruber sets up the rain with Drizzle. And he goes for Wing Attack, which does minimal damage to Gruber. So I'm like, oh my god, that took a lot of energy. So I decide to just stay in there and use Protect so I can get more life back from Leech Seed. And he goes for Thief again, but I'm protected and I get some life back. So at this point, I decide to use Ice Beam, and Ice Beam nails his Scyther, getting rid of that threat to my superior and to Gruber because that wing attack took out a lot. So he sends in Reptar, and I use Protect again just to scout to see what his Reptar is going to do. He does Leaf Storm. I'm protected, so I decide to switch Gruber out and send in my Grass Starter, again superior, to take the Leaf Storm. But he switches it up on me and does Focus Blast, and Focus Blast hits and takes out my superior. So I'm like, okay, that thing is packing good special attack, and it has life board. So I decided to send out my Toxicroak, and he withdrew his Reptar and sent in Dunfan. So at this point, I'm just going to Nasty Plot because this is a special attack Toxicroak, and I get the Nasty Plot. So I go for Sludge Wave. I know it's not effective, but it's a stab move, and I got the one special attack. And Sludge Wave does a pretty decent amount of damage. So he goes for Earthquake, and of course, I am definitely hurt by Earthquake, but I hang on due to Focus Sash, and I'm thinking he has Ice Shard, and I get the life up from dry skin, and he gets lefties, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. So I'm just gonna go for vacuum wave this time, and vacuum wave nails Dunfan because had he had went with ice shard, I still would have went first because it goes from who's the fastest. So I get life up again from dry skin, and he sends in um, Athena there, and I use Sucker Punch because I know that thing is faster than me because it's one of my original Pokemon that I gave to Vada, and he uses Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt nails my Toxicroak. So he takes Toxicroak out. At this point, I decide to send in, I believe, Gulia once again. So I go for the Will-O-Wisp. He withdraws and sends in the cat. Now, this cat. Oh, I didn't do the Will-O-Wisp. I went for Calm Mind. Now, at this time, I wasn't paying attention, noticing that the cat was burned. So I'm like, okay, this cat is burned and is a physical attacker, so I'm good. But then I noticed that he started using Shadow Ball, and at this point, I'm like, a light goes off in my head, and I'm like, oh, this is Zora. So I get the life leftovers, and he gets burned again, and I go for Calm Mind again because Calm Mind on this thing is the business. So I get another special attack, another special defense reads, and he goes for Shadow Ball one more time. So Shadow Ball hits, takes a pretty fair amount of damage. I get leftovers, and he gets burned again. So at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna go for Calm Mind again because Shadow Ball is really not doing anything, and I'm hoping this time around, even when he hits me, because I know he's gonna use Shadow Ball again, that he doesn't die from the burn, so I can get the recover on the next turn and have recovered all that life lost along with the Calm Minds, the raise in special defense and special attack. So my wishful thinking worked. I get to recover. He uses Shadow Ball again, and it doesn't do as much damage as I thought it would do due to all the special defense and from the Calm Minds, and then his cat burns. So cat burns faint. He sends out Athena, and Athena traces my prankster ability. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I go for the Will-O-Wisp, and Athena is burned, and he goes for Shy Shock, which doesn't affect Gulia. So at this point, I'm like, I'm gonna Calm Mind again because Athena's a special attacker. I know that much, and she's not gonna do much to my equally boosted Calm Mind Gulia. So he sends out his original Persian, and I go for the Calm Mind again. So you got to be thinking right now, I've got like, what, 4 or 5 Calm Minds, and this thing is unstoppable as far as hitting it with special attack. So I Will-O-Wisp because I know his kitty is a physical attacker. He goes for the Hypnosis, and he gets the Hypnosis. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? He's burned. Nothing much he's going to do. I'm just going to stay in until Gulia wakes up. So on this first turn, he goes for Home Claws when I did recover. That's why I went first. So I was trying to recover just in case he hit me again with something. So he gets off Home Claws, and I'm still asleep. And I get the leftovers. So, my life is gradually building back up. And his life is steadily going down with the burn. So he goes for Home Claws again. And at this point, I'm still sleeping. So I'm not going to wake up to do my move, which I chose Psychic. So I'm like, okay, so this time I get more lefties. My life goes up and it's completely full. He goes for, I believe, Shadow Claw on this turn. which doesn't really do that much damage. So I'm still asleep. So I get the life leftovers, and Vada goes for the home claw, I guess, to boost his attack one more time. And at this point, I wake up and I use Psychic. And due to all the special attack boost that I got from Calm Mind, I take out his kitty with no problem, and I get a useless crit. So that was good on my part. So I get the leftovers again, and he sends out Athena. So at this point, this is a hopeless win for him because Athena is a special attacker, and my special defense is like going through the roof. So I just go for Calm Mind again, and he goes for Thunderbolt. And what do you know it? He gets Thunderbolt, it hits, but then I get the hacks. So now I'm paralyzed, and I'm like, I'm paralyzed, but his Athena is burned. So I'm like, okay, her life is slowly going. So he goes for Thunderbolt again, and I'm just like, that's not gonna do nothing. So I get paralyzed, and I get leftovers. So at this point, I go for the recover after she gets burnt because I'm like, I want to keep my life as close to full as possible. So I get the recover, and he goes for Thunderbolt again. And Thunderbolt doesn't really do too much due to my boosted special defenses. So leftovers is up. Burn takes Athena out. So I think at this point I'm like +6 right now in special attack and special defense. So he goes for Leaf Storm, and Leaf Storm does a considerable amount of damage, but it drops his special attack. And he has Life Kill, so I just go for Psychic, and Psychic just nails Reptar really well, but he must have good special defense in that thing because it held on. So I go for Recover just to boost my life back up. It's full again, and he goes for Giga Drain. So he gets some life back, but because of Life Kill, it also negates that life he got. So I once again go for Recover, but I think I get hacks on this turn. But it doesn't matter because Liefeld kills his Pokemon. Good game, Vada. You fought well. Till we battle again.